Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have a fantastic day of racing coming up, courtesy of Ascot, Haydock, and some other places as well. But we're going to be focusing on Ascot and Haydock, who of course stage the Ascot Hurdle that Faheen makes his return in, and the Betfair Chase up at Haydock, which sees Silvio Conti take on the likes of Tak and Soy and last year's winner Hugh Card. We're joined today by two members of the normal panel. We've got Adam Webb, who is now the Southerner on the Other Hoof. We'll explain that a little bit later, and I'm sitting next to Callum Adele.
Hello. First of many.
Yeah, it's the first. I've now presented on here next to every member of.
It is, yeah, it's full house. Well, that's a good achievement.
Yeah, I get around. I get around.
No
yeah, not for you, mate. How did our naps get on last week? It was only me and Michael, wasn't it? And they both sucked. So we won't talk about that. But as always, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can tweet us at On The Other Hoof, and we'll read out any questions you have, any fancies you have at the end of the day. If you've got any big opinions on the likes of Faheen for the rest of the season going into the Champion Hurdle, I know I put it up on the Jumps preview as my bet of the season, so I'm fairly strong on that. If you guys think you get beat tomorrow, if you guys think you'll get beat in the Champion Hurdle, let us know. And tweet in at On The Other Hoof. We'll read every single question and fancy out at the end of the show. But the first race we're going to be covering is one that holds one of Faheen's major competitors come Cheltenham time in March, and the new one. It's the 150 at Haydock, the Betfair Price Rush Hurdle. Great name. Over 2 miles. Melodic Rendezvous takes on the new one. The others seem to be playing for minor place money, but of course Aurora Destrabel has run to 160 before. So, Adam, if you can take us away on that.
Well, I think that the new one is opposable tomorrow on the basis that the ground is going to be a bog tomorrow. And looking out my window now, and I'm not far from Haydock, the amount of rain that we've had is ridiculous today. And I was there as well, and I got very, very soaked. And I just think that Melodic Rendezvous represents a bit of value because he's going to love the soft ground. He will be ready for tomorrow. And I'm not saying that the new one's going to be beaten because of the jockey, because I have seen some really horrible comments the last week about this. And I'm fed up of reading them, but I just think tomorrow the new one is opposable at 2 to 5, and you've got like some Melodic Rendezvous, who we know goes on the ground, and I think he's overpriced actually. Aurora Destraval likes soft ground, but I think she wants further than 2 miles. Dandy Man has his claims, I think, tomorrow, but I think he'll come up short, and I actually think Melodic Rendezvous can win tomorrow.
It's a big ask though on softer ground. Asking for a horse to win first time up on soft or testing ground, as it is tomorrow at Haydock. 231 days off, taken on the new one, who is undoubtedly a better horse, and he's already had a run this season. He's race fit. It's going to be a huge ask for Melodic Rendezvous tomorrow.
Oh yeah, obviously he's got something to find. You know, but to be fair, on his best form, he's rated 163 on his best form, and that's only £4. Lower than the new one's best form, so on official ratings, I think that's pretty close. And considering Melodic Rendezvous loves this sort of ground, the new one, looking at its previous form, he's been defeated on both starts on soft to heavy ground of late, albeit beaten by My Tenor, Yours, and At Fisher's Cross. You know, these are pretty good horses, and he's still running them to half a length, 3/4 of a length. So I expect the new one to win. To be honest, tomorrow I can't see past him unless, you know, his jumping doesn't hold up or something like that, but he's usually pretty foolproof. He's not the most, not the best of jumpers, but he usually gets the job done, and I think he should get the job done again tomorrow. Interestingly, a point of this race is worth quite a lot of money, $61,000 to the winner.
Yeah.
Which is more than the Christmas Hurdle and Fighting Fifth.
Yeah.
So
it's a moronic time to have the race. Obviously, fair play for them to put up the money, but the same day as the Ascot Hurdle, doesn't really make much sense. We've got the Fighting Fifth not too far away. I don't know, it doesn't make too much sense to me.
We have a big 3 mile hurdle over fixed brush hurdles, and then we've got a 2.5 mile handicap.
Yeah.
You know, just
fair play for putting the race on. Like, big hats off to that, but you know, it just seems a weird time. I think we can all agree that if the new one gets beat tomorrow, it will likely be because he hasn't performed to his maximum ability, and I think we can all accept that Melodic Rendezvous probably isn't a better horse than the new one, and any other result than victory by the new one would be somewhat of a shock. But if it's going to happen, it would be on this ground tomorrow. But 2 to 5 isn't really a price that I'd be going wading in on the new one. I think Faheen is a much better proposition at that sort of price today. A much more competitive race, however, is the next one that we're going to cover, the 205 at Ascot. The Amlin Chase, over 2 miles to 3 furlongs, is grade 2. It's competitive as well. Alfaroff won this last year at 1 to 5 when he only had to beat French Opera. This time around, he's got a much harder task at him with the likes of Summersby, who loves Ascot, Wishful Thinking, and Rajdhani Express.
I think this is obviously it's a much better race than last year. I think at the time when we did it last year, there were 3 runners going to line up, and Captain Chris was withdrawn on the morning. So Alfaroff, his record fresh is eye-catching, and Ruby comes over. He's obviously come over to ride Faheen, but he's also picked up some really nice rides on the undercard as well. But I just think tomorrow, I think he's going to need this, and I don't think 2 mile 3 is his trick, if I'm being honest. I think he wants further, and I think he'll come on for tomorrow. The one that I do like, actually, is Fox Appeal, who, if...
Oh, for God's sake, Adam.
I really like Fox Appeal as a horse. I mean, he ran really well at Market Raisin.
Bloody tie.
And he also, he dead heated last time out at Kempton with Theatre Guide, and I think he has got a big pot in him over fences this season, and I think tomorrow could be the day, and I think there's improvement there, whereas you've got the likes of Wishful Thinking and Summersby, who are, I'll say, the veterans of this race. I mean, Wishful Thinking at Aintree, that was some performance, but I wouldn't trust him to back that up, and Summersby was disappointing, I thought, in the Holden Gold Cup. He made a bad mistake late on, and I'm not convinced by him personally. I think Fox Appeal, I think he's overpriced, and I think he could be the main danger to Alfaroff.
Guarantee, if you go back to the video when it finished 4th at Market Raisin in September, he said the exact same thing.
Yeah, I did.
Like, word for word.
Probably.
Apart from the Alfaroff wasn't in that.
Yeah.
Just
my slight worry is his jockey. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of the jockey booking of Summersby? Andrew Thornton.
I think he'll suit Summersby. I think he'll suit him.
I mean, it's not a dig at Andrew Thornton whatsoever. I think he's a marvellous jockey, and experience-wise, there's going to be no one better for that job. But it's an interesting booking. He's not really accustomed to riding in these sort of races these days, but you can't really say too much against him, really, can you, Adam?
No, you can't. I actually think Summersby would be the type of horse that I think he'd excel on, if I'm being honest. If you look at the way he rides, I think Summersby will suit him perfectly. But he has to bounce back from that disappointing effort in the Holden Gold Cup, and that's my worry. So,
Ridden for it?
Looking at his stats, yeah, Andrew Thornton's 0 from 6 for riding for Mick Shannon. So,
well, where's Dominic Ellsworth? I mean,
Dominic Ellsworth just seems to be out of favour by these owners. So it seems he hasn't ridden Knockhouse, he hasn't ridden Summersby this year.
Brian Hughes has picked up a few rides.
Yeah,
For them.
I've heard rumours that he's struggling with his weight a bit, but.
I mean, he last rode it when it finished second to Cider Grugy at Cheltenham. So
yeah, I've heard rumours that he's struggling with his weight. How much truth there is behind that, I don't know. It's completely speculation. I haven't heard that it's completely definite so far. But I don't know. It's an interesting point that Dominic Ellsworth isn't riding. But I don't know. Is Summersby for you tomorrow?
No, don't think so.
I don't think he ever is.
Alfaroff, I think, is a horse I've always rated quite highly, or very highly, to be honest. And he won this race very comfortably last year, but it was a much weaker field. And I agree with Adam. I think he's going to need the run. And also, if you consider he's got to give weight to the whole field as well, I think he's not favourably treated. And 11 to 4 apiece, him and Wishful Thinking. I think Wishful Thinking's got to be the one tomorrow between the two. I mean, he's already got the benefit of a run. It was an impressive victory as well in the Old Roan, and getting £4 from his main rival Alfaroff, I think he should be clear favourite. To be honest, I'm just going on the price basis. I think Wishful Thinking should be around 2 to 1 favourite, pretty solid favourite, and Alfaroff should be about 3. Rajdhani Express is quite interesting. Again, a horse I've liked for quite a while. He's got some decent soft ground form in the book. Unseated Samuel Cohen after an absolutely shocking day he had at Aintree, wasn't it? And yeah, he's a horse I've always liked, rated quite highly, and he's getting weight from his main rivals, even more weight, getting £6 from Wishful Thinking. So he's not one I'm going to rule out totally, but I think Wishful Thinking over this trip, he's got some really good form on soft, heavy ground as well as good ground. So he ticks way more boxes than the rest, especially with Hobson's such good form this season.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with you. Wishful thinking. The performance last time, I'm not going to say it came completely out of the blue, but it was somewhat unexpected in the manner that he did it anyway, saying it was completely over at the last. He put in that exuberant leap at the last and went away winning by however far he really wanted. If he turns up again in that frame of mind, he's going to be a really hard horse to stop. The ground isn't going to be an issue. The distance is no worry whatsoever. As Callum said, he just ticks all the right boxes. Where's Richard Johnson today?
He's at Haydock.
Interesting that he's not. What has he got any big rides up at Haydock? Or?
Menora. But Menora may be a non-runner if this rain keeps persisting.
Yeah, it's just a point that. Well, okay, no, it's fair enough. He's going to ride in a Grade 1 over a Grade 2. So, but Tom O'Brien is a more than able deputy if he does take the ride, and Richard Johnson doesn't reroute himself to Ascot if Menora is a non-runner. As for the rest. I've kind of lost patience with Alfaroff a little bit now. He was off for a long time, came back. He won this, and I managed to back him at 9-4 earlier in the week last year. But I don't know, this is a much tougher race than beating French Opera as your only rival on this ground. The ground's okay. I've got nothing against that, but I just want him to prove that he is the same horse that won the Supreme and was such a good novice chaser a few years ago. But it's really hard to look the other way. When wishful thinking's in the field off the back of that Old Rowan victory. Move back now to Haydock for the 225. It's the Betfair This Is Play fixed brush handicap hurdle. 3 mile Grade 3. Volney the Tie left a lasting impression when absolutely bolting up at Huntingdon last time out for Nicky Ensign and Barry Geraghty, Adam. He's got a fairly big weight to carry here. He's due to go up a bit more in the future. Is he still well handicapped carrying, or the better question should be, is 12 stone on this kind of ground in this big of a handicap hurdle a viable option?
Well, they kind of thought, basically they have to come here, basically, because they played the hand. He won so easily at Huntingdon over 2.5, and I think 3 miles is within his compass, but the thing is, on that ground, I would be worried about him, and I think he is opposable tomorrow. I also think Catco is opposable on the bounce factor. He won really nicely at Cheltenham last week, and it was a really good performance, but I'm just worried about him. The one I like, and it's an each-way price, so he has been price-wise, I really like Oscar Rock, who, he went off the rails a bit last year. He won really nicely first time out at Wetherby, and then he was second to Ballyalton at Newcastle, and then ran a really weird race in the Challow, and then sort of went off the boil after that. It was really disappointing behind Tabera, and I just think first time out it could be the time to catch him, and he does look attractively on an attractive mark. And Brian Hughes obviously takes a ride. I think he's got a really big chance tomorrow. Others are worth mentioned. Oberson, I think if the ground gets too heavy, I don't think he'll run. Vieux Leon Rouge is a very interesting runner, and if he gets 3 miles, he's going to absolutely love the ground. And what?
You're a crack.
No.
With Oberson, he won on
But Nick Williams did say earlier in the week if the rain really came that they wouldn't run him. I know that he won on heavy ground, but I'm relaying what I said earlier in the week. Sybarite
it's not going to be bottomless, is it? It's not going to be. I mean, when he won at Cheltenham, it was horrendous. Like it's not going to be that bad. And he won.
It was unraceable at Cheltenham when he
won. And he won on Chepstow soft, which is normal heavy. So, yeah, there can't be any. If they put it on ground, that's a bizarre decision.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there, but I'm thinking of that from earlier in the week when I read the comment that they wouldn't run on really soft ground. I think he'd have a chance, actually. I'm not sure 3 miles will be his trip yet. Sybarite will stay all day, but I just think this could be too much of a speed test for him because Haydock 3 miles is quite sharp these days. It's not how it used to be. One at a bigger price, I think Uncle Jimmy could run a big race as well with Thomas Cheeseman taking 7 off. But my idea for a bet in the race would be Oscar Rock each way.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Just looking for the race now, I had a look earlier on and couldn't really find that many that I really want to give a huge chance to. I wanted to sort of steer clear of Volney the Tie. He's been on my tracker since he won at Kempton last year. But I didn't back him last time out stupidly, and I'll probably leave him tomorrow at that short of a price in this field. But looking through them, there's a lot that if they return to their best form will have a huge chance. Trust and Times being one of them. He's got a lot of weight to carry also tomorrow, maybe in each way proposition, as he'll be much straighter for his reappearance. You go a bit further down and you've got the likes of Sybarite, who I always seem to back on here. Again, he's one that he'll need the distances to be wrong the other way. He'll need about 3.5 miles in a handicap hurdle. He'd win that every single time. He stays all day. Cheltenham was perfect for him last time because it really played into his hands. If they go fast tomorrow, then there's a possibility that he might stop in front and he'll be the one that will pick them up late. You can bank on that. Shimla Dawn is another horse that I'm also quite a big fan of. He's just improving all the time for sort of a smaller yard as well. But soft ground isn't an issue. Came second or soft at Market Race and at Wetherby. I think he's a much better horse than his mark suggests of 132 as well. I've got him sort of a mid 140s horse, so he could have a bit of leeway with the handicap of 16-1 is a nice enough price about that for an each way bet. You're going to mention Dara Tango, so I'll leave that to you, but that would have a chance if returning to his best form anyway, because that is ridiculous for this kind of race off a mark of 130. Upswing was never really put into the race on his reappearance. He'll be much fitter for that. The ground is a little bit of a worry possibly for Upswing, although he did win at Newbury when it was fairly testing, beating Ryden Pines. But
bottomless, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a redundant point.
And I think at Wincanton, when it was even more bottomless, he fell at the last one.
He was troubling. Yeah.
Oh no, behind Champagne West. I think he was probably going to lose that. But he finished second well, he's going to finish second at least.
Ground isn't that much of a worry. It's just, for want of a better term, there will be other days for Upswing, I think. Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it.
Horse we've been a fan of for a while, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he was my idea of the Potemps winner last year, and he didn't get in. He missed out by, I think, 2 or something like that, which I was absolutely gutted about. But I just think there'll be bigger pots for Upswing. Saying that, it's a very valuable race tomorrow afternoon. If you had to push me for one selection, I'd go for 2. I'd go for Sybarite each way, just to keep the faith with him. But just if it turns into a stamina slog, then he could just pick up the pieces later on. And I'm going to chance Shimla Dawn each way. Had the reappearance 21 days ago, should be much fitter for that. And 16-1 is a decent enough each way price. Is for a horse I've held in quite high regard for a while now. You're not with Shimla Dawn, though, are you?
No, that's a strange one to go with. No, it's pretty strange selection. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. It's just ridiculously competitive, this race, and I think you can give 10 or 12 a chance in it. You can give so many a chance, and for one reason or another. But I think for that reason, you're going to have a horse that's 8, 9, 10 pounds well handicapped to win this, and you can probably whisk it down a little bit easier when you put it that way. Volnada Tie's the obvious one. I mean, he's £9 well in off £5 penalty. And the way he won at Huntingdon strongly suggests that he could just be a Grade 1 performer in the future. Yeah. And considering the Roll of Honour of this race is usually pretty strong. I mean, David Pipes obviously dominated it, but Diamond Harry won it. And, it's usually a race that a lot of horses target. And for that reason, you want something that is going to have it as a big target, not as an afterthought, which possibly the case with quite a few of these, with Big Easy, with Catco, with Volnada Tie, who've all run really well at once of late, and maybe just trying to take advantage of the fact they're in form, but maybe weren't thinking of this as a main aim in the first place. Now, I think in a Busan, I think is a horse that is 100% been aimed for this race. I mean, Nick Williams knows how to win this race. Like I said, with Diamond Harry, he ran a cracking race at Chepstow on his reappearance behind Shelford, and without a mistake at the last, I think he probably would just have won. The trip, I think, will be ideal in the time, without doubt. At this stage as a 5-year-old, it may just be a little bit of a niggling doubt, but the ground, he's got really good form on soft ground. I know Nick Williams or his wife has said that they wouldn't run on heavy ground, which I find a bit bizarre, but yeah. If he doesn't want it, he doesn't want it, but I can't see it being as bottomless as it was when he won at Cheltenham, and that was some of the worst ground I think I've ever seen. So Busan appeals as the winner to me tomorrow. I quite like him. Lizzie Kelly's a good claimer as well. I think she's quite good for £7. So
she just seems a really good effect on T for 2, isn't it?
Yeah, and this one.
Yeah, and this one. Obviously this one, but more recently T for 2. She made that a brilliant Bridie captain.
But again, you can give plenty of chances. Spirit Shankly, he's had a wind up over the summer. Came back and won quite nicely at Aintree. I think he's probably handicapped out of it of 140. I think he'll run well, but I don't think he's got much scope. Then Dara Tango could just be thrown in. I reportedly working really well at home, and form over hurdles in 2012 would make her absolutely thrown in off 130. And Tony Martin is such a shrewdie, and came back and won a pretty fair Class 6 handicap at Catterick, which Jolly Blonde, who just beat it in a photo finish. Dara Tango won it in the Stewards. That's pretty good form for a Catterick, lowly Catterick handicap, and it showed that he still retains a lot of ability. So I've talked way too long about this race, but Busan and Dara Tango.
You love your jumps race.
I do. No, to be honest, this is a quality race, isn't it? It is a quality race.
On first look, I thought that's disappointing.
And viewers have gone up because of me.
You passed. That's probably because we all.
And again.
We'll move on quickly from that one. The race that shouldn't take too much to decipher our way through. It's probably the race that a lot of us will be waiting for this afternoon. I know me in particular, 240 at Ascot's, the Coral Hurdle, registered as the Ascot Hurdle. It's a grade 2 over 2 miles 3.5 a furlong. It brings about the return of Forheen, who's widely regarded as the main champion hurdle hope, or is the champion hurdle hope for Willie Mullins this year, but heads the market, I think, in all for all bookmakers. He's 1-3 tomorrow, Adam. This thing doesn't get beat, does he?
House Party wins it. No, Fahim is a certainty. I can't see him beating tomorrow. You're looking for the forecast, really. Fahim, as I said in the jumps preview video, he proved me wrong big time at Punchestown. I didn't think he jumped hurdles well enough.
Right.
Yeah, but 2 miles and he just flew. The slight concern tomorrow is that he is going back up in trip. That's not the concern. The concern is that it may go at a pace that his jumping may be suspect, but I think he'd be far too good anyway. For the forecast, it's between, for me, Lac Fontana and Blue Fashion, and I'm going to edge towards Blue Fashion, who was second to Moravat, giving him £6 on this day a year ago, and we also what Moravat went on to do. And Blue Fashion, for me, I can't wait to see him over fences, and I think this is just a pipe opener for him to get him back onto the course. And I think he is good enough to chase Faheen home. At the rest of them, Ballygushin, it's interesting that they're going up in trip with him, and Hint of Bint as well. And it's also good to see Lac Fontana back. I'm surprised they're staying over hurdles with him this year, because I thought that they would have gone chasing with him. But
yeah, he's only a 5-year-old, so
he is only a 5-year-old. That is a good point, actually. But I think it's a case of how far for Faheen. I think Blue Fashion will chase him home.
Yeah. I've been told to mention First Avenue by Stefan Buer. So I will mention First Avenue. First Avenue, it's funny that he's rated £8 lower than Grade 1 winner last season in Lac Fontana. That's a mention First Avenue.
To be fair, he absolutely hacked up in a handicap though at Worcester. So
yeah, he'll love the ground, but that's as much as I'll give him tomorrow. Unfortunately,
imagine if he beat Faheen now.
Oh. If he beat Faheen, oh God. That would hurt so much. Faheen, how far?
Yeah.
To the closest 15 laps.
Yeah. Adam had the right angle, looking for a forecast. Blue Fashion as well is the one I go for. And it's a horse that, looking back at that run behind More of That, which was a desperately slowly run race, and More of That could not have caught the eye much more. Exactly a year ago as well, on this exact card at Haydock that he was last seen, and Blue Fashion likewise off a slowly run race, just not suited by it, and ran a stormer, and he's going to make a proper chaser, isn't he? So
yeah,
I think he's the one for the forecast tomorrow, and surprisingly he's rated higher already than the Grade 1 of Lac Fontana. I can't believe that won a Grade 1.
It wasn't a Grade
1. Oh, that's Felton territory, that is. Blue Fashion for second, but Forheen should win comfortably. And what amazing about 14 is just his versatility for a horse to win over 2 miles and look like a champion hurdler, and to win over 3 and look like he could win a world hurdle. You know, the world's his oyster. And he's the most exciting horse, I think, on the jump scene at the moment. Probably close to more of that and Annie Power, I'd say. Really.
For me, he's a standout in every sphere. I just think I think I said to Adam after he won the Neptune about 2 weeks after that, I think he'll be the next Hurricane Fly, in a sense that.
You.
Yeah, and you laughed at me, and I just said I can see this horse being an absolute machine over 2 miles. Obviously, this is 2-3 tomorrow. It doesn't matter. He's won every distance that you can win at over hurdles, basically. So ground isn't an issue. There's nothing that you can stack against him tomorrow. There's no obvious superstar lining up against him. The fact that Lac Fontana's second favourite, that speaks about how strong the race is. Obviously, it's a good race, but nothing is anywhere near Faheen in this kind of sphere, and you'd be disappointed if he didn't win.
Talking of Faheen, this is very quickly. The horse that was 8th in his bumper, Maximizer, what a performance at Haydock today. I really like that horse. And I think I'll describe it as an unfashionable stable in Simon West. I think he's got a potential star there, and I can't wait for next season when they go novice chasing with him. He's going to be a monster. Just got to throw that in there.
Yes. All right. Moving on to Haydock.
That bumper, isn't that bumper working out so well?
Yeah, it's not a bad bumper.
Josses Hill in second. Stonebrook's won numerous times since, rated 130. I mean, that's some race.
Rock the world as well.
Yeah.
That's not. That's
one.
Faheen's could be.
And Faheen won by 22.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the way we're looking at it right now, and after careers, you can say that you might not have appreciated that horse as much as they did. Hurricane Fly might be even a victim of that, but with Faheen, we could genuinely be looking at an absolute superstar and one that we're going to remember in the future. And I don't think I'm actually being too over enthusiastic about that. In fairness, I do think he could just be that good. But from Faheen, we go on to the Betfair Chase. The 3 miles of 1. It is a grade 1. We have Q Card, Medami, Minora, Silvaniaco Conti, Takan Desoy. A decent enough race. It's full of class. Maybe not Gold Cup horses in this kind of race, Adam, but nonetheless, it's a top class race.
Oh, it's a really good race. I said earlier to somebody, it's not as good as last year's Betfair Chase, but at the same time, I think it's an absolute cracker.
Hang on. But you say it's not as bad, not as good, but the top 3 who are well clear are all back.
I know. No, I'm saying in a sense that you had
the only horse that made it last year was Bosworth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You had Bobsworth, you had Tyler Bain, you had
race. So, yeah, and you got Takan Desoy in this year as well. So yeah, you're wrong.
Right, I'm wrong there. You love saying that. You're wrong. Well, the market can't actually split it at the top, and at the moment, they're all best odds. Q Card, Dinas, and Silvaniaco Conti. They're all 4-1 ahead of the market. Out of those 3, I really like Q Card tomorrow. His run in the Holden Gold Cup I thought was a really good run, trying to give weight away to genuine 2-milers like Boulder Success and God's Own. These days he can't do it, and I think he's just lost that little bit of pace that he once had, that he could go with over 2 miles. And 3 miles is more of his trip these days, and he won this in sensational style last year. I can see him doing the same this time. Obviously, the interesting points obviously Silvaniaco Conti's got headgear on for the first time, and I think a couple of us mentioned it last year after his Aintree run in particular that he was going to need it. My slight concern with Silvaniaco Conti, I don't know if viewers read Paul Nicholls' stable tour, but Paul Nicholls seems to be convinced now that stamina, and yet more stamina is what the horse is made of. And if speed test of Haydock, yes, he's won the race before, but you've got to be slightly concerned about that. If he's all about stamina, I mean, stamina could win the day tomorrow on that ground.
Sorry, but
I don't know. I'm still not convinced. And the fact that they've gone for headgear now, I thought he looked okay in the Charlie Hall. He didn't wander around like he did at Aintree or Cheltenham.
No,
So
it was only run over about 2.5 miles.
Yeah,
So
so was his last year goal, wasn't it?
yeah.
this race as well over a year ago. I wonder how
I have
far that-
utmost respect for Paul Nicholls and sort of his views and his horses. He knows them better than me, and who am I to question that? But I just haven't. I've always had Silviniaco Conti down as a fast 3 miler. I've never had him down as a stamina, well, a horse that needs a real stamina test, and I think he proved that last year in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. You can say maybe it's because of the course, but then he wandered twice again at Aintree the next time out. Whether he was still feeling the effects of the Gold Cup, I don't know, but
They said
I
that they
just
found
don't think
ulcers, and a lot
Exactly.
of people had ulcers, but I don't know. It's one of them that's weird. I was also, as I said to you guys earlier, I'm actually kind of interested in Takan the Soy, but regular viewers that know that I've never liked this horse over fences. He's got headgear, he's got first-time cheap pieces, and he's got Barry Geraghty booked as well, and I just think tomorrow, he loves soft ground, and I'd actually make a really strong case for him. It's probably the only time I will ever make a strong case for Takan the Soy. But I think Q Card is your likely winner. Obviously, one's at bigger price. I mean, Harry Topper's going to absolutely love this ground with the amount of rain that's falling. But I think that Haydock could be too much of a speed test for him, and I could see him getting severely outpaced. Medemy, I'm not surprised that they've come here because Alan King has got two viable contenders for the Hennessy, but I would have preferred to see him there actually, because I think he would have been really competitive off his mark. Double Ross for me didn't stay in the Charlie Hall, and he won't stay here. And the Giant Bolster, he's a Cheltenham horse, and I don't understand why I put him up in the Charlie Hall.
yeah, good work, mate.
Cheers.
I'm a big fan of Q Card. I don't think he's a Gold Cup horse. I'm not sure he'll stay that. But the interesting thing to me is that Colin Tizard's given him a breathing operation over this summer. I long thought that that's what the horse possibly needs. Just judging by his head carriage, it could just be he's got a very awkward head carriage. I wasn't too disheartened by his run back in the Haldon Gold Cup. Obviously, he's trying to give a lot of weight away to good horses. And it's a distance that right now, or this late in his career, well, he's only an 8-year-old, but it's just not really the distance that he wants. He finds it a bit on the sharp side. So he won this race last year. He wasn't stopping at the end of it, even though there were rumours that it was run at an inadequate trip. But I cannot see past Q Card tomorrow. I think a flat course is what he needs. He'll get into a rhythm, which is a huge thing now at Haydock. Now they've rebuilt the fences. If he can put his jumping to good use, then he's going to be a huge danger to all. Just seeing what's going to take him on up front, the only one I can think of is possibly Harry Topper, but other than that, he might just get
And he won't keep up though, will he?
No, Harry Topper should be outpaced if they go a real 3-mile Grade 1 gallop. Obviously, he'll be picking them off later on in the race, but it just depends how far behind he gets, really, for me. But I'd almost be disappointed if Q Card doesn't win tomorrow. And it's a bold thing to say, but
everything just looks in his favour, doesn't it? And apart from potentially this rain coming along and making it bottomless, I'm sure he doesn't want it bottomless because he's a real good moving type. But yeah, winning the race last year in impressive fashion on a speed track like Haydock with a horse that stays this far, without doubt stays 3 miles for me. I do think he stays 3 miles comfortably on a speed track. It's just on a track like Cheltenham over an extent. Well,
that's 3 miles.
Cheltenham 3 mile 2.5 is a totally different story. And again, he's come there to win the King George and just been outstayed by Silviniaco Conti at Kempton. Again, I don't think there's much between them, to be honest. I think Silviniaco Conti's a top class chaser. And I'm a big fan of the horse, but tomorrow on this sort of speed track, I think he'll do similar to what he did last year. And Silviniaco Conti needed the run last year, and I think that's without doubt worth saying, because he did come into there travelling well and just didn't seem to pick up anywhere near as well as expected at one point. And the same with Dinast, actually, who probably travelled the best of the lot in that race. Speaking of Dinast, I just don't think he's got the ability to win a race like this over 3 miles.
I've just never been a Dinast fan. I've never really warmed to him.
Neither have I. But over fences, I don't think he can run to his best over 3 miles, especially on soft ground. And 2.5, if it's 2.5, 2 mile 5, well, keep on winning anyway. But he would have a better chance. But he's one I can't see winning. I think one of the front two will win, and I do actually prefer Takan the Soy actually over Dinast, who you're getting Takanda Sawyer. I think it's pretty solid form. He's got a lot to find on ratings.
Yeah.
Harry Topper, even with the ground in his favour, would just be too fast for him there, so I couldn't have him at all.
One thing that I'm thinking of now that you mentioned the 2.5 chase. Imagine if Q Card and Simon Sig turned up for the Ryanair fully fit.
Oh, what a race!
Oh, that'd be race for the festival.
It would be.
Well up there. It'd be so. Oh,
apart from Faheen, obviously, in the champion hurdle.
Yeah. Another point I wanted to make about Q Card as well. I think it's no disrespect to Joe Tizard, but I think it's a big bonus to have Darryl Jacob on board. He's been a jockey that I've rated for a long, long time, and I don't really think he was given that much of a fair crack of the whip by Nichols last year. I don't think everything. Maybe there was more to the story that we didn't hear about, but I don't know. Maybe a bit harshly treated. Obviously, Sam's doing a great job for him now down at Ditchy. So I just think that Darryl Jacobs are going to be a fantastic jockey for Q Card, and I can see them gelling really well tomorrow, and especially over trips that will be adequate, obviously, leaving the Howden Gold Cup form behind. We're going to go back to Ascot now for the 3:15, the Country Living Handicap Chase, 2 mile 1 furlong handicap. Very, very competitive race. Olk de Land's obviously a recent winner. Had Belenos behind that day. We're both big fans of Belenos today, though.
We are. We both agreed. That form behind Olk de Land, I think, is the stand-up piece of form on offer. Olk de Land had a wind operation in the summer. Sorry, I'm in flat mode still. And clearly improved for it. One thing I wanted to mention is why isn't Sean Bowen on this time?
I was just about to say, Sean Bowen gave this horse a brilliant ride.
He gave it a quality ride.
He was fantastic.
And Olk de Land has been a horse that has had a lot of critics in the past because he often travels well in his races and find naff. And for once, he actually found plenty for pressure.
He was allowed to go.
And he was, really. He was given a super ride by Bowen. And Jack Sherwood, I don't know much about him, but I'm sure he's capable. But I just wanted to know why Sean Bowen isn't on him.
Jack Sherwood's
a good reason.
Jack Sherwood's a good jockey in his own right, but it's just interesting that Sean Bowen doesn't take the ride on after giving him an absolute peach last time out. But Belenos is sort of not a similar type. He's a strong travelling horse. He jumps absolutely fantastically. He probably needed the run a bit last time because he did everything that I've just described. He jumped brilliantly, travelled so well until the home turn, and then came under pressure and didn't really find much. He probably would have been third, but for making a bad mistake at the last, and it was a tired mistake as well, which forced him back to fourth, I think, behind Christopher Wren. You look back to the back end of last season, he won at Stratford off this mark. Today, Stratford is not his track whatsoever. He needs a real sort of galloping track. Ascot is perfect for him. He won at Ascot over course and distance of a mark of 1:22. Now, you'd expect him to win off that mark, so it's no great feat, but he won really impressively. He then got beat quite far by Simply Ned at Doncaster to prove that it wasn't a fluke at all at Ascot, and has run well off marks of 1:34. He's up to 1:39 now, so I still think there's more improvement to come. He's only a 6-year-old. So, again, he could be one that he shouldn't make into a top 2 mile chaser. However, with the news side of Grucci and Sprinter Sacra is iffy, there are options open. I do think Belenos is a very good horse, whether it would come a year too soon. I had him in mind for a Grand Annual last year and he was entered. I don't think he didn't actually take up the engagement though, but he'd be a perfect kind of horse for that if they can get him off the right handicap mark. But tomorrow, he should be going close, especially now he'll be straighter for that original run. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no, I endorse everything you said about Belenos, to be fair. He's my fancy for the race. And also, considering this horse his jumping is his main asset, and the way he jumps on his return, it just suggested he just wasn't ready for it. And when I've seen him at his best, he's been going along pretty prominently, almost leading and just pinging everything, whereas last time he was held up, I just never really looked in any intention to win it, even though he actually went off a co-favourite that day. But yeah, he's got a lot more scope to give, and like I said, I think that form last time is really strong. And Dan Skelton as well. It's his lucky track, Ascot. If you think of the winners he's had here, What a Warrior and Willow Saviour being 2 big handicap winners, and prizes big price tomorrow, so 43,000 is the winner. So more novelty point, but I think he's the one tomorrow.
Yeah, keen on Balanos. I am going to go get my laptop charger, and Adam is going to talk about Brick Red, I think.
Yes, I am. He's price-wise as well, which yeah.
Keep talking, Adam. We'll be back, mate. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry. You're both going to leave me for like 15 minutes now, aren't you? Yeah, I really like Brick Red in this race. He had a good novice chase campaign. He won at Plumpton on really soft ground, and he also won at Wincanton on really soft ground. And he was second to Border Success, who I really liked for the champion chase. He ran all right in the Arco as well behind Western Warhorse before running well last time out behind Many Rivers to Cross at the overcourse and distance. I think he's the idea of the winner. I also respect Grey Gold as well. He really loves soft ground, and he's such a consistent performer for Richard Lee. And I still remember him beating Mikel Dagenais over fences at Punchestown. And he just loves soft ground. He's one of the performers that you can see going really well again. Past it, Pete wants a flat track, and his 2 wins at Aintree have proved that completely. I mean, I remember he caught the eye last December at Cheltenham, and I said when he goes back on the flat track, he'd be one to watch. Did I listen to my notes? No, I didn't. And he went and won at Aintree. So I think tomorrow, Brick Red is my idea of the winner anyway, and I think Grey Gold could easily run into a place.
Yeah, I remember back in Grey Gold at Carlisle, I think it was. Jamie Moore went up for one ride, and that was him. And then next time out, he's beating Mikel Dagenais at Punchestown, which came as a bit of a shock. I'm not going to lie, but
I like Grey Gold. He's a good, honest performer, and his win at Chepstow last time out, I thought was a really good performance. So, and he loves soft ground. That's the key to him. That is basically.
Yeah. Well, the last race we're covering is the 3:35 at Haydock. You should have a good grasp on this one because you covered it for Timeform today. So, I have a horse to follow in this one first, or Pinerolo, who was my replacement for the ill-fated Ballyhooly boy. But Pinerolo will be a chaser you'll hear plenty about this season. However, Sue Smith's yard have been in awful form recently. They've been prominent in the finishing positions. I think they've only had one winner in sort of the past 2 weeks I can count, and that was Benny as well, who I think is also running today. But you really worry about that stable's form. They'll bounce back in a big way, because when Sue Smith's horses are in form, they fire in winners left, right and centre. And Pinerolo will be one of them. He needs soft ground, which we'll get tomorrow. He needs a trip. He'd probably need a bit further. I think in my blog I actually put that he's a perfect horse for an Eider. He'll get a soft lead, he'll be able to jump his rivals into the ground. I think that will be what his season revolves around this year. So tomorrow it might be worth just giving him as a watching brief. You deciphered this earlier in hours worth of work, didn't you?
Yes, the only thing I've done all day is look at this race.
I was going to say, if you don't get the winner of this, your day is
I know. To be honest, I went through it and wanted to go for Renard, who won twice last year at Chepstow over around 2 mile 3, held his form pretty well. I think he ran to a similar level when he was third in the Grimthorpe behind Knight Milan, who was an impressive winner and really badly needed his return at Stratford late last month, and loves softer ground, heavy ground, and he ticked a lot of boxes. Likewise, Midnight Pill has been out of favour for a while, but seemed to be coming back to form last time out with behind Water Warrior, and he's another who'll relish these conditions, these testing conditions, Kirkland. And so I put them on second and third, and I put Glenquest as the real unknown quantity of this race, and he's not won for a while. The last win was in December 2012, so just under 2 years. But he's joined Stuart Crawford's yard and ran a cracker over hurdles last time, finishing second, albeit in lesser grade. I think he's rated about a stone lower over hurdles, but it was still a promising run. Always been a better chaser. Good form on soft, heavy ground, and there's a real eye-catching jockey booking in Richard Johnson. And Stuart Crawford is a trainer I rate highly. I know he's better known for being a bumper man who does very well in bumpers, but unlike Anthony Honeyball, he has a bit of substance elsewhere as well. And I think Glenquest has got a really good chance tomorrow. He's getting weight from the whole field. No, he's an 11-year-old, but he could just be rejuvenated. And I think 9-1, I thought he was worth a go.
Fair enough. Adam, your thoughts?
When I saw this race at the 5-day stage, the one name that just jumped off the page was Masters Hill. And when I checked prices earlier and I saw he was clear favourite at 72, I sort of thought, oh, I wasn't the only one then. if he jumps tomorrow, I think he's got a huge chance. I mean, some of his novice hurdle form last season, he seemed rejuvenated going back over hurdles, and he was second to King's Palace and Deputy Dan, and he ran well enough in the Albert Bartlett. And I just think, coming back over fences, Darryl Jacob takes the ride. If his jumping stands a test, I think he can win this, and I think he could be quite potentially leniently handicapped over fences. Another point I will make, Colin Tizard's horses are now in form. I mean, Bird Intention absolutely bolted up today, and Grand Vision was going to run a really big race when he unfortunately came down. Luckily, he got up okay, safe and sound, and lives to fight another day. The other one that I was slightly interested in was Rose of the Moon, who I thought ran a nice race in the Grand National. Clearly didn't save a trip, but I think this could be, I mean, it could easily be a prep run for something like the Beecher or the Grand Sefton, but I could see him going really well for a fair way, because I think he's a solid jumper and has form around this trip as well. I better mention Michael. Michael's not here tonight, but he sent us quite a confident selection here, and he really likes Wayward Prince tomorrow. Now, I'm always of the opinion, and I think these guys may agree with me, that Wayward Prince is best fresh. But Michael seems to think tomorrow conditions are here to suit. I could be proven wrong here, but I completely disagree. So, what do you two think of Wayward Prince tomorrow?
I think Michael's an idiot. Not just for Wayward Prince. I think in general he's just an idiot.
Oh, he's probably watching now. He's not going to be happy.
Well, if he's watching now, he's got no excuse not to be on tonight.
Yeah, he seems to have gone off the boil. I mean, even you consider his best run last year was in that Charlie Hall, and got a shocker in it this year. Then again, he did have a hurdles run before that Charlie Hall run, and didn't this year. I think it's fair to say this would prove it. If he's really gone, he won't run very well tomorrow. I think that's a given.
Yeah. I'll read out Michael's other selections. He gave us 3 others. He gave us Sybarite in the fixed brush. He also likes Mujic Borje, which is the horse I like tomorrow as well. And he also, another one that I like, Marita the Burley. So, copying me, Michael.
Have I got to put a selection up in this race, or can I leave it?
Nope, you got to put something up.
According to Trev. No, hates the ground.
Just put Pinerolo up each way, and if it comes in.
Pinerolo each way. Like I couldn't really fancy anything in this race. I'm not envious of you at all having to cover this race all day.
That's great.
It'll be a watching brief for me regarding Pinerolo, but you'll know very early if he's going to be winning tomorrow, because he'll be at the front of the field if he is fancied tomorrow. If not, then he'll be held up somewhat. But I don't know, it's a hard race to decide. But I think according to Trev, if he does go on the ground, he's been placed on soft enough before when behind Coneygree at Cheltenham. If he does act on it, then he could prove competitive, but it's a really hard race to sort of get through, and I'd rather leave it, but I'll go for Pinerolo each way just for loyalty more than anything. That is every race that we've got to cover tomorrow, haven't we now?
Yep.
I've got to find favourites. There we go. Right, tweets from you guys. Thank you to everyone that's tweeted in tonight. We've had quite a few, actually. Kai Wills starts us off. Dear Lord. Chances of Santa Teresa at Lingfield and Dawalan, or as he's called it, Dalawan at Haydock. Dawalan, I have to give him credit behind a sign of victory last time, wasn't it? He actually proved that he is as good as his mark. Before that, I hadn't seen any notification that would signify that he is that good, but he really proved me wrong last time. So he's a horse that I'm going to be handling tentatively from now on. However, he ran Sign of Victory close, but Sign of a Victory could have won as far as he liked. In that sense, he was hard on the bridle when he finished. Dawalan, I wouldn't put you off, in fairness. Santa Teresa, have you got there yet?
No, I can't find it.
It's at Lingfield, that's what we got. There we go. William Haggis, Martin Harley.
Ron Wood went for it, and he's a Strudy. So, yeah.
Yeah, Nap, Banker, Santa Teresa. Then he's followed up. How do you think? Do you think Capco will bounce, and is Volney de Tai the one to take advantage of that? I do think Capco will bounce. He's had a long time off before winning last week.
I think he'd have been absolutely primed for that race last week as well.
Yeah. It was you, wasn't it, Adam, that Martin Pipe came out with
Yes.
a pre-praising and said, back Catco.
Yes. 2 words he said. Back Catco. Oh, yeah.
Did you?
No. I went off somewhere else, and yeah,
Did you tell either of us about it?
no. Well, to be
Right.
fair, I wasn't exactly thinking, I'm going to text people. No, I wasn't thinking in that way anyway, so
To
sorry,
be fair,
guys.
Pike as well said in that interview, I don't know if you saw after, but he's saying that he told everyone to back it. And he'd
Yeah.
forgotten about it. I think he had another one, like is it Light Entertainment or Street Entertainment?
Yeah,
one?
Street Entertainment.
And yeah, he was looking at that, and then Catco came flying. But he was impressive. He nearly stumbled on the bend as well. And
Yeah.
thought, he nearly lost his footing. So impressive. But will bounce.
I agree with that, and I don't think, as I said earlier, I think Volney de Taille, although he's well handicapped, 12 stone round Haydock in really deep ground.
Hard, very hard.
Yeah, it's a tough ask even for a horse that does look very well handicapped. So.
One last question from Kai Wills. Do you agree that Q-Car, Silviniaco Conti and Dinast are going backwards and that we should side with Tak and Soy?
Ooh.
So they're going back.
I don't think they're going backwards. Not yet, anyway.
I think Dinast is inconsistent, I'd say, instead of going backwards.
Dinast has had problems.
Yeah.
And I think
on his
when
day,
they got back, when they got him right when he won at Cheltenham, and then yeah, he's a proper pipe horse, and that on his day he can beat anything.
it's
or
very,
most.
very good.
But yeah, he's inconsistent. Q Card, I think that's pretty unfair to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, his Betfair performance last year was, I'd say, probably his peak performance.
Yeah. No.
And Silviniaco Conti looked better than ever last year, after having a few people questioning his ability the season before.
Mate.
So, yeah, no, I've got no reason why they won't. And Takan Desoy has to improve a good £12 to feature against these proper 170 chasers.
And he has to jump tomorrow, attack and so it's another thing. I always crab his jumping. I know he gets from A to B, but his technique is a bit. So if he jumps tomorrow, and I think Barry Garrity could really help him tomorrow, and Cheap Piece as well. If he puts in a clear round tomorrow, without any mistakes or losing ground at his fences, he could be very dangerous on that ground tomorrow.
Yeah.
If.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs there.
There's a lot of ifs, but as you guys know, Takendoso is not a horse. I like the horse, but I don't think he's a chaser. So, to be fair, he is fair platform actually. If you look back, so.
Our super fan Phil Dinsdale's coming. My winner for tomorrow. Tell us more. Modem, Moscow Man, and Don Poli and Fahim. Have I got a chance?
Tell us more. Is a very highly rated horse of Mullins.
They think a lot of him. They also think a lot of Don Poli on the fences as well.
Yeah, Valley Casey's tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Casey.
I was actually looking at that Garin card and just thinking, that's something. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Which is usually what happens when you look at an Irish race, to be fair. But tell us more. Patrick Mullins was on the Final Furlong podcast, and I'm sure Adam listened. But he said that he can believe it that Willie Mullins was racing that in the bumper. It looks a scrawny little thing, looks awful, and it absolutely bolted up. And again, he's going to make a chaser in time, but I expect him to win tomorrow. And it's just an embarrassment of riches in that yard at the moment. I mean, it's time after time. I just think, even horses, you could think of 10 and then think of horses that are good enough to be 150 horses. That's just not his hurdlers. I mean, it's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
It's a never-ending list. It's like you think they've brought them all out, and then you hear another few names. You're for goodness sake.
Well, I saw obviously Outlander, and what else won on the same day as Outlander? Shane's Hill, and Black Hercules to come out, LA Colombiere, and
Kill to Vic, another one.
Kill to Vic, yeah. You just carry on and on, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And this one, Tell Us More, he's up there, and Baldini is a horse I rate very highly, won last on Sunday.
Again, like the novice hurdlers from last year, you got the likes of Votor, Forheen. It's just they're already prominent in the festival betting for later this season in many races. So it's borderline ridiculous what the firepower they have there. But yeah, I wouldn't put you off that bet. Going back to your original case there, Phil. Another question about Mullins. Play to win. Say, if you could pick a most likely Mullins winner at the March Festival next year, who would it be? By the March Festival, I think it means the
Cheltenham Jumps Championships.
Yeah, Jumps Championships. Yeah. Cheltenham Jumps Championships. Well, Faheen is my bet of the season in the 2 mile champion jump hurdle.
Well, I mean, I could go with the obvious one, but I'm going to. Well, Faheen's the obvious one, I think, and Annie Power's actually even more obvious. But
race?
I think she'll go for the Mets hurdle.
I think she will.
But yeah, like I mentioned, Bordini's also I rate very highly, and I saw he's been stuck in at 20s for the Cheltenham flat race, the flat championship.
The Cheltenham flat race
marathon. Stayer race. Irish horses only. And yeah, Bordini just won so well on Sunday. 20-1. He's going to be staying over into bumpers as well. He's not going hurdling, so go for him. There you go.
Adam?
Well, I obviously really think Faheen's going to win champion hurdle. The one that I actually quite like is Barley Casey for the Ryanair, and he comes out tomorrow at Gara, and I think he should be winning that tomorrow. It's interesting. I was actually half hoping they were going to come to Ascot, because I thought he would have had a huge chance at Ascot. I think a lot of people think he's a boat, but for a boat, he's got some pace about him, and he doesn't get 3 miles. We learned that last season. There were at least 2 occasions where he tried 3 miles and failed to stay, and intermediate trips is his bag. 2 mile 5 would be absolutely perfect around Cheltenham, and I could see him going prominently, all from the front even, and getting a lot of his rivals into trouble.
Yeah, wouldn't be off for that. Clement Eek, or Eki, or Eki. Eck. Clement Eck. We'll go for that. Hello guys. Which horse do you think will end up being clear favourite come the Betfair Chase? Q Card at 4-1 won't be shorted. You'd hope so. I think Q Cards will go off favourite.
I think Silviniaco Conti would go off favourite, but my reasoning for him going off favourite is because of the rain that's falling and the softer ground. So
I've got Q Card, Silviniaco Conti, and then Dinast.
Yeah, people are betting on the basis of ground though. Aren't going to be betting big amounts of money. They're just going to bet solely because of ground. They're going to bet because they think such and such is a better horse, and I think a lot of people think that Q Card, and rightly so for me, is just a better horse.
Yeah.
In terms of ability, maybe not over that sort. You know, they could give Silviniaco Conti a better chance in the conditions, but Q Card has just got so much ability.
Private Sean has come back saying, of course, Private Sean has to go against one of the hot pots of the day. Melodic Rendezvous to beat the exposed one with 3 kisses. So thank you, Sean.
I actually agree with Private Sean. So.
Well, that's a bad thing for
Private
you.
Sean.
Phil Dinsdale back again. Luke, is that your only shirt you wore for last week's show? Go Cowboys. Jersey to start you off.
He's won it for the last 4 days.
Wrong sport as well for Cowboys, but it's an admirable try. I'll give you that one. We also had a lovely picture tweeted of us by Candice Hare, saying if we're a bromance or the odd couple. We'll let you guys at home decide. Phil has decided on the side of bromance. So,
I go with bromance. I'll go with bromance.
There you go. Derek Gamble punt. He goes, no! Is this the end of Callum's headphones?
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, they are here, yeah.
Go on, make Derek happy and put them on. Don't connect him in.
No.
There you go, Derek. Just for you, that one.
The famous red headphones. Red phones.
Sam Boswell tweeted in, Harry Topper, if he jumps, we know he stays. Ground will be fine. Must be the each way play gang. It's just if he can keep up. It's an odd thing to say in a 3 mile one chase, but if he can keep up, then it'll be dangerous. But
if this was 4 miles, he'd be a certainty. But yeah,
but it's not.
I know. That's what I'm saying. If it was 4 miles,
if this were a greyhound race, he'd be ineligible.
So if this was at Cheltenham or something like that, I'd be more keen on him. But on a speed track like Haydock, I think it's going to end up being a similar enough race to what it was last year. And if it is, then he's got absolutely no chance for me.
Yeah. Private Sean is tweeting from last year saying long run wouldn't be far away tomorrow.
Ugh, no. He needs a stamina test, and he will get that tomorrow.
Phil Dinsdale back again saying, question, looking forward towards the Hennessy with weather forecast to get down to -7. Have Newbury got the frost covers ready?
Yeah, they will do.
I'm not a clerk, of course, but...
Newbury tend to be good at that sort of thing with frost covers, so I think...
Richard Osgood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The new and improved Richard Osgood with no moustache.
I've missed this time of year, worrying that he's going to be too cold to race.
Yeah, last winter we didn't really have that. We didn't have that problem last winter. We had a really mild winter, so it was a bit weird, really.
And Phil also says, Adam, something against you. Bulax. I fancied Brick Red and Adam Webb 121 tipped it up. No bet now. Very wise.
To be fair, recently I've done all right. So I've not done badly. It's not like the usual curse. The last couple of weeks I've been doing all right. Touch wood.
One final tweet in from Jeff Handley. You're right about Sue Smith's yard. Follow went back in form. Only 5 winners this season and 1 winner in the last 71 starts. And that 1 winner was Benny's Well at Carlisle that I alluded to a bit earlier on. But yeah, they'll be back in form. They'll be back in form in strength very soon.
Speaking of yards, actually, before we leave, Donald McCain has not had a runner, I think, since the 17th or 16th or 17th of November.
I think he's shut.
He had 14 entered at Haydock either yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday, actually. Yeah. None of them are running. So, I'm not a massive fan of the man anyway, but trainer, but certainly wouldn't be at the moment.
No.
To be fair, his horses are running. They get to a point and then they're just stopping like something.
Yeah,
really
he's clearly got bad, isn't he?
Yeah, and once he gets rid of it, you'll probably start firing in the winners again. But it's just. You hope they come back. It's not the time of year you want this to be happening. I mean, Alan King had the problem last year, a couple of weeks forward, where I think they actually shut stable in the middle of the year, and it actually benefited them. So,
yeah,
in the long run.
Fair, that's a good point. Adam, your nap, please.
My nap. The first race at Haydock, Mujik Borje. Won the race a year ago. Liam Treadwell is a very good jockey around Haydock. Him and Venetia. It's Venetia time, basically. And she loves Haydock, and yeah.
Fair enough. My blog's going against that, actually, but you'll find that out later. Your nap?
I've convinced myself that Belenovs won't get beaten.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Not napping it, but I'm on the same boat with that.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd probably double up ours. What are you going for?
Amberjam.
Oh, Amberjam.
I've been bullied horrifically by a friend of the show.
Should we get Q card in there?
Provider to the show. Martin Smith. He's got a horse called Amberjam running tomorrow at Huntingdon. Ran first time handicap last time out at Fontwell. Ran really well. Just bumped into one called American Life. He's won again since at Exeter, and Amberjam's been dropped £2 for that, which is very kind of the handicapper. But another point I wanted to raise on Amberjam is that it's an 8-runner race, and he's got one of 2 professional jockeys on, or non-conditional jockeys on board in Leighton Aspel, the other one being Josh Moore. The rest are 3, 5 and £7 claimers, which could help in a race 3 mile 2 round Huntingdon. Amberjam proved last time that he handles softer ground. He stays all day. His jumping is getting much better. He's improving with every single run. He's only a 4-year-old, so it's going to be he'll improve much more in the future. But at 4-1, I can see Amberjam being a really good bet tomorrow. Are we going to make some kind of weird treble as well for it on the?
Oh yeah, no, I'd say Trixie it and go put Q card in now. I think what price is Amberjam going to be?
4s.
I think they're all going to be around 4s.
Right. So we've got an on the other hoof Trixie treble.
And then should we give Michael a nap?
No.
No, Michael is dead to us.
He's going to have to.
We want bed. We want bed.
I was going to nap Wayward Prince for him.
Yeah, Michael can have Wayward Prince.
Yeah, and if that wins, it's the biggest price nap winner on the other hoof. So
yeah.
Pino de Rey, thank you.
It was an interesting ride he was given last Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, headline news on 5 Live.
Oh my word! No wonder. Oh.
Right. Okay, what's the on the other hoof treble Trixie then? Q cards, Amberjam at Huntingdon, and Belnos Ascot.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone, the rules for an on the other hoof treble / Trixie is that everyone watching has to put at least £1 on that treble, or however much you can afford, and then we will all be sad together when it doesn't come in.
What about
But
Music
we made a good run of it at Ascot, at Royal Ascot. We had Cannock Chase and Arab
Oh,
Arab Spring.
Arab
Whatever
Dawn.
Hugh Morrison one
Yeah,
is.
Arab Dawn, yeah.
It is Arab Dawn, yeah.
Arab Spring's a stout horse.
Yeah, Arab Dawn. And we got a good run out of that one, and a lot of you guys backed it. So on the other hoof, treble tomorrow. Q Card, Amber Jam, and Belanos. You heard it here first. That's about it.
It is.
That's about it for everyone. Adam, thank you very much for joining us and taking the time out of your very unbusy evening of robbing in Liverpool.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you.
Is it warm down south?
Yeah, is it warm down south? Or?
No, it's freezing.
God, it's cold up here. But thank you to everyone for tuning in tonight. Thank you to everyone for getting involved. We had a lot of activity tonight. We actually had quite a few people watching as well. So thank you very much to you guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you loved it and a thumbs up if you hated it. You can also subscribe around this box. There's a button that says subscribe. You'll be told about all of our videos as and when we do them. You can also watch any video that we have produced in history ever. But until next week, on the other hoof, have a great day of punting tomorrow. Have a great week of punting. And goodbye.